Hello, hello, and welcome to Talking to Food Safety Professionals. My name is Dr. Jenny Lynn James, and with me today is Dr. Angela Parry-Hanson Kunadu, all the way from Accra, Ghana. Hello, Dr. Kunadu. How are you today?
Oh, I'm very well.
So, Dr. Kunadu is a global food safety expert, policy advisor, public health advocate, an educator and researcher. She's an associate professor of food microbiology and safety at the University of Ghana. So today's topic is alternative proteins. Do they introduce new food safety hazards? So please enlighten us on this topic. First of all, what are alternative proteins?
Alternative proteins are protein sources that can partially or completely replace animal proteins in
Okay.
foods. Right. It's an emerging area. Some of the alternative proteins have been around for a long time and have been used. For example, soy proteins.
Yeah.
Um, that's one that we all know very well. And I mean, there's some people that are completely on soy proteins and have cut out other, animal source proteins.
Mhm.
Uh, but it's an emerging field in that there's a lot of research going on in these areas and trying to figure out how these proteins can be used to replace animal proteins in foods. So there are four groups for these alternative proteins. We have plant-based proteins, which is the soy protein.
Yeah.
Another one is the pea protein. There's a lot of work going on in pea proteins right now.
Okay.
Microproteins from fungi. That's also been around for a long time. But a lot of these proteins are being used in other foods. For example, plant-based meat, right? So
Yes.
they're using them to mimic animal source proteins in
Yes.
foods. So that's where the emerging area is the new food systems is in. So because they are not being used in its native form or how they're typically consumed, the way they're being used may present new hazards.
Oh.
Another area that is of emerging interest is the cultivated cell-based meat, right? Initially, the term was cell-based meat, but now I think the right term is cultivated meat, where
Okay.
these proteins are from animal source foods, but then they're not from animals. They're animal cells that are grown in the lab.
Oh my God.
And yes, they're grown in the lab to make meat. So the alternative proteins and I mean the whole um, alternative protein area is from the fact that there are concerns about food sustainability, climate change, animal welfare, and the need to feed a growing population with good proteins, right? So figuring out ways of producing proteins, healthy proteins in a sustainable way that does not contribute significantly to climate change because producing animals generates a lot of greenhouse gases. But if these animal cells can be cultivated in the lab, it reduces that footprint, right? Also, insect proteins. Insect proteins have been used in
Insect proteins.
have been used in African communities for a long time, not just Africa, but also I think Asia. But these are becoming mainstream and they're being produced on larger scale. For example, the black soldier fly larvae uh, has a lot of good proteins that are used a lot in feed, right? But
Okay.
also we have crickets, mealworms, and
Oh,
grasshoppers.
I had fried crickets in Cambodia one time on a visit. So yes, I've had,
Oh,
now that I think
really?
about it, I've had insect protein. I just remembered.
What did it taste like?
Well, I don't think, okay, I got garlic flavored. So it tasted like garlic flavored fried crickets. Garlic, and they had
Right.
some chili peppers. So it was crunchy.
Okay.
And it was kind of like crunchy
Okay.
potato chips and nothing else. There was much flavor to it besides the garlic and the chili.
Okay. What they're trying to do is to extract the proteins because most people don't want to eat the insects, right?
Okay.
So the proteins are extracted and used as ingredients in food.
Okay.
The last categories, precision fermentation proteins, where microorganisms like yeast and bacteria are engineered or selected to produce the specific proteins, maybe an animal to mimic an animal type protein
Yes.
in food without coming from the animal.
Okay.
Right. So we can have animal-free milk proteins, which is milk contains milk proteins, but it's not from an animal. It's not from
Okay.
a ruminant. Yes. So we have fermented egg proteins, specialty fats, etc. So these are the four categories of alternative foods or proteins that are available. And there's a lot of work going on in this area. Some upscale, some are commercialized. In
Yes.
North America, there's some, you'll find some on the shelves, etc. Some are added to food and feed, but depending on the quantities that are added, may or may not be declared on the packaging.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yes,
So we're not sure what we're eating.
exactly.
This is frightening, really. It's frightening.
But what I can say is that for whatever protein that will be added to food, it would have gone through rigorous regulatory requirements. So they are safe. What is currently added to food, where the major quantities within the food needs to declare it, right? So, like companies or like products like Beyond Meat and Impossible Meat,
Yes.
they've made it pretty clear that the meat products, meat in quotes, is made from plant-based proteins, right?
Yes.
So you know,
I've seen their
yeah, but
products in the supermarkets. I do
yeah,
try to stay away from these ultra-processed foods, as I call them, and try to just eat natural products. But some people, for one reason or the next, whether it's for health reasons or, like animal rights, etc., they choose to eat
yeah.
plant-based products. So it's a choice.
It's a choice, and it's for the consumer to really understand and make that choice.
Yes.
Um, and people have reasons why they do what they do. But what is interesting for me is that products like Beyond Meat taste like meat. So although they are plant-based products, you will find it in the meat section. It's for people who like animal products, but perhaps are concerned about the greenhouse gases or sustainability or climate change effects, I guess. Or
Yes.
the new taste, something different.
Yes, I always wondered if people did not or do not want to consume meat, they could consume vegetables. I don't know why they would want something that tastes like meat, but I guess it's again, their choice.
Yeah, I thought that was the question I had also, because initially I thought it wouldn't taste like meat, but it's meant to mimic meat. So it's not for vegans or, it wouldn't be in the vegetable section. It will be in the meat section.
Yes, yes, yes.
Um,
It's a bit of a paradox.
so why? But that's where the world is going. All sorts of varieties available,
Yeah.
and consumers can make that choice.
Yes, and my concern is in labeling and, factories being honest about the ingredients in their products and not leading people astray. Because if you see something that looks like meat and you reach for it and you buy it and it's not meat, it's not clearly labeled. To me, that's food fraud. So we are really relying on the honesty of companies not to go for profit and lead consumers astray is one of my concerns.
Yes, but I also think that a lot of these new products, and I may be wrong, but I think a lot of these new products, the process of producing these alternative proteins and incorporating into food, it is not cheap and it's not easy. So if they're putting it in there, it should be something that is profitable to them, such that they would want to declare it on the packaging.
Okay.
Right. So,
and what are some of the food
again,
safety
that's
hazards that you've heard as it relates to these meat or protein replacement products? What are some of the food safety hazards?
I think it varies. So, for example, for plant products, we may tend to look for environmental microorganisms like pathogens in the product, maybe like bacillus. But you take a meat product and you typically think of the coliforms or like fecal coliforms, which do not take microorganisms. But for a product like Beyond Meat, it does not contain any meat.
Okay.
So those do not take microorganisms, or the fecal coliforms may not be there.
Right.
And you'll have to remember that it's a plant-based product, and so there's a whole different categories of microorganisms that could be there. Also, the processing in itself, sometimes they are ultra processed and may require certain chemical treatments. So do any of these chemicals leave residues in the products that need to be considered? For products that are produced through precision fermentation, the main issue is the sterility of the fermentation process itself. If there are any contaminants in there, it could cause some really major maybe foodborne disease outbreaks.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. We're out of time, I'm afraid, but this is a very interesting topic that needs to be explored further, because we are seeing quite a few of these protein replacement products or alternative proteins on the market, and consumers must be aware of what they're buying and try to inform themselves as much as possible. Thank you so much for your presentation today.
Thank you.
Please hit the like button, like our video, and remember to subscribe to the channel Food Safety Smart so you can be notified every time we interview another amazing food scientist. Hit the subscribe button. Thank you.